Canola School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Alberta Canola Producers Commission, SAS Canola, and Manitoba Canola Growers.
How common of a problem is calcium deficiency?
Probably not going to be very much of a problem at all, and it's probably not going to be very common across the prairies either. We consider calcium to be a macronutrient that is taken up in large quantities by the plant, but the vast majority of our soils contain huge amounts of calcium. I don't think I've ever worked with a soil that was less than about 2,500 parts per million of calcium or so. So that's a lot of reserve in the soil that I normally wouldn't bother looking for deficiency, nor would I really spend a lot of time trying to enhance or maintain that fertility level, just because there is so much there and it is such a large component of the parent material.
And still we can be aware of what it will show up as. So what are some of the symptoms of calcium deficiency?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because like I said, it's not something that we're going to run into on a wide scale across Western Canada. But in the spring of 2011, we started seeing some really bizarre symptoms in some really flooded out ground. And we weren't 100% sure what it was, and we were bouncing ideas back and forth, and it wasn't really isolated, it wasn't really regional. I was seeing it in the North Peace, my counterpart was seeing it in central Alberta, we saw some in western Saskatchewan. It was very widespread. And what it was characterized by a flattening of the stem, ribbon stemming we were calling it, and the stem would actually curve over, not unlike this, into a bit of a shepherd's crook, and then wither and desiccate, along with some of this interveinal chlorosis and some purpling and a couple other non-specific symptoms of stress, just poor growth, which one would really actually kind of expect in an extremely flooded situation. But in digging into it a little bit more, what it really started to look like was a transient calcium deficiency, where for mechanical reasons of some kind that I'm not even 100% sure on, the plant was unable to access or take up enough calcium to actually build cell structure and build a plant. That's essentially what we determined these symptoms to be. And once the stem kinked over, that raceme above would die, desiccate, and obviously a new branch would need to start. A lot of these fields were very waterlogged, like I said, so there was some yield loss from that anyway. And what we did eventually decide we were seeing was a transient calcium deficiency, like I said. So when we were planning Canolab, the Canolab 1 in Alberta in 2012, we decided it would be really neat to try and replicate those symptoms. Had a bit of a hard time doing it, just restricting calcium with mineral soil, but we were able to actually very predictably and very reliably recreate those symptoms, the ribbon stemming, the shepherd's crooking, and then the desiccation, by flooding with water, releasing the pressure a little bit, not letting it dry, but just taking the excess water away and then re-wetting it. And within 12 hours, we would start seeing this exact symptom. So more to show what that looks like, we decided to include this in the fertility trials this year. Because like I said, calcium is a macronutrient. It's taken up in large quantities by the plant and is responsible for new growth. It's implicit in cell wall formation and structure. So these are the symptoms that we're going to see of calcium deficiency, and that's, like I said, this interveinal chlorosis, crisping, and purpling, but like I said, purpling is a bit of a non-specific symptom. But the biggest one is going to be this wire stemming, and at a bit of a younger age, you'll actually see the stem flatten out into a ribbon, kink over, and then start to dry